dad had a daughter that played the piano.
We're recording now.
Okay. So we're going to go back and talk about when we're going out doing the preaching times, and Grandma and me went together, and I went in and talked to her dad, because her dad was a guy that liked to do hunting, and I kept dogs, and so he was come out and got my dogs, and we went hunting rabbits and fox together. And then when I wanted to go out to speak, I went in and asked him if he had a daughter that could play the piano. And that's how come I got your grandma, because she was the one that played the piano.
Because I thought he was a real good-looking guy when I saw him come in the door. He was all dressed in blue, navy blue suit, a light blue shirt, and I looked and his socks were even blue, and so was his tie. So he was my boy blue.
And Grandpa was a fairly good-looking little guy
In Spanish,
then.
they say.
Not an old gray-haired fellow like he is now.
In Spanish, they say "él en azul y yo a su lado."
What?
What's that all?
It means him in blue, and me all like made blue or blue beside him.
Oh.
It's kind of like a pun.
Oh. Anyway, that's what we done, and we started raising some little boys, and I run on different jobs. I was a baker. I traveled around the country with bread and delivered it to the stores and to the farms up in Teeswater and Lochnook and Garden area, which is up in Ontario. Not down where it's sunny, down up in the cold part, up in the cold country. So we worked up there, and worked with her dad. Now, Rosie's dad was a preacher. He had the church in Wingham, and that's where Rosie was raised as a little girl, and where I think it was where Teeswater was where he became a Christian, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So she became a Christian, and when she was quite young. How old?
7.
When you were raised.
Yeah, my mother was a born-again believer, and then my dad, he got into a bit of, he drank a lot and he couldn't seem to quit, and they prayed for him at the church, and he was able to quit smoking and drinking, and that's when I realized that God was real, and that he was powerful and he could do great things, and that's when I decided to give my life to God, because I saw the change in my family when my dad gave up the alcohol and the cigarettes, and then he became a pastor of a church after that.
My father had also been a heavy drinker and a heavy smoker, but there was no church up in that part of the country, and there was a little fella come along just with a guitar slung over his shoulder, and another fella come to help him preach sometimes, and they just came and rented a little old hall, and that's where my dad became a Christian. But he still couldn't give up the drink or the booze. And then one night he went forward and he got completely delivered all one night, and never had to have no more alcohol or cigarettes after. So, but that was when I was just real little. I think probably about 2 or 3 years old. And so I mostly remembered him as being a Christian. But I had went forward when I was young, when I was about 8 or 9, one time. But then I had a few years that I wasn't getting along so good. And then I went to Braeside Camp. And that's where I really became a Christian and carried on in my Christian faith. But it was different up there. We didn't have churches like we have here. We had a little church, and sometimes Dad would have Sunday service, and other times he didn't. And sometimes we would have a preacher, and we would sometimes go then for 2 or 3 months, 6 months. Sometimes one time we were about a year without a preacher. And then we had preachers that came over from another town. And they come over once a week in good weather and periodically in the winter. So it wasn't like as if we could see church a lot of times, and we did no television then, not even too much. We had some radio, but not much, not too much on radio either. Just whatever we could get for ourselves out of the Bible, and what Dad and Mom could teach us. So now I have one brother, Ken. He's was 5 years younger than me, but he took Parkinson's, and he's been gone now for about 4 years, was he?
Almost
3 years.
Yeah.
3 years, I guess Father says he's been gone. But so that's where we were raised, and that's where I got to go in with your grandma, and then we raised boys up on the farm. We had our own place up in Kincardine.
And then we had one girl up there.
And we
too.
moved back and forth. Then we had a sister for them, Karen, and then some more boys, and then
a bunch more.
More.
More
and
boys.
Then we had one more girl, Heidi, and then little Jeffrey, the last one. He was number 10. And so that's the guy that's sitting here beside us. Been nice and quiet.
It's a good thing they decided to keep going.
Yeah.
None of us would have been here.
Right now they span 3 decades. I have one in his 20s, and I have 2 in their 30s, and there's 6 of them in their 40s, and 1 is 50. So they span 3 decades.
I'm 29, so I'm almost out of
Yeah, yeah.
One of my 20s.
Yeah, well, it won't happen again 3 decades until you turn 39.
And Grandpa's has been doing good. I was a carpenter and getting along good doing carpentry work right up till a few months ago. But the last few months, I haven't been doing so good. I'm not able to get around very fast anymore. I'm 78, but feeling like I'm a lot older than that right now. But anyway, we're looking forward to seeing Grandma go down and see you down in Mexico. But Grandpa's not good enough to ever travel again. I gave up my driver's license, and no more driving and no more running around for me. I've got to stay right home near the hospital so I can get in whenever I need to. Or
he still likes to play a good game of Skippo.
Yeah, I still like to play cards. Grandma only plays Skippo. I play Rook with Jeffrey.
And you know what you're a champ at is checkers. I could never beat you at checkers.
I haven't played checkers for a long time. I must try that again.
You'll probably forget how.
I'm sure you beat me. You know you won't forget.
I forget a few moves now. Grandpa's starting to get a little bit forgetful, but I'm kind of on the ball still. And I think it's about time for Grandma to talk a little bit here. She mostly talks a lot, but she's pretty quiet tonight.
Because you keep on talking.
Okay.
What
would you like to say to the little boys?
Oh, I would like to say hi, I love you, and I wish I could see you and hug you. But someday.
Yeah, Grandma's going to probably get the opportunity to go down and see you guys and give you a hug. And but all you'll do is see your picture of your old grandpa. But I had some good times with little Sammy. when he was a little guy, and when you lived here with us, but you'll never remember that. It was too long ago.
So you gonna sing something for them?
What's that?
You gonna sing
Oh yes,
something
we
for them?
should. And we want to. We're going to sing a song. We have a song that we always sing at Thanksgiving, and we're going to sing that for you right now. Okay? I've a roof up above me, a fine place to sleep. There's food on my table and shoes on my feet. You gave me your love, Lord, and a fine family. Thank you, Lord, for your blessings on me. And we live in a real nice place here, and we're just so thankful that we can live where we can be free, and where we have no snow to shovel, and
Sometimes.
Sometimes we do.
not very much, only a few spoonfuls. But when I was a boy, we lived up north, and I shoveled snow from the time from the time we got there. And
that's only 3 hours away from here, but
Yeah.
it's in what they call the snow belt. So there's lots of snow. The banks would be so high when I was going to school that I could reach up and touch the telephone wires. But it's not that way at St. Catharines. We just get a little bit on the ground. Sometimes we have a big storm and we have to get a plow in here, but only maybe twice in a winter. And this winter we didn't have hardly any snow.
So, and this is where your daddy works, and has lots of greenhouses, lots of work at the greenhouse. And I work down here, but I never worked in a greenhouse. I always just worked at doing carpenter work and building little things around. We want to show you the picture of the new shed that I built for Grandma. I built her a shed because I thought I was I wasn't sure I was going to be here for this winter. I wasn't feeling very good in the fall. But anyway, looks like I'm going to make it through till spring. And
He's been on the way out for about 15 years now.
Yeah.
I've been doing pretty good. I could build houses and everything while I was on the way out. But now I'm all through building.
Sometimes I think he just likes to be pampered. Because when he was 58 years old and we went to Disney World, he says, "Oh, I can't walk. I can't walk around this place." And we put him in a wheelchair and went all around Disney World with him in a wheelchair.
Had a bad go back about then. Had 3 little strokes right.
That wasn't really a stroke. It was what you call a transient ischemic attack, which means it's a little tiny a blood vessel breaks and you have a few symptoms, but they go away in 2 or 3 days.
But it makes you do funny things. You go to step on something, and your foot goes over a foot or 2 further than you think. And I was up on the roof, had to get a guy to help me over onto the ladder and get down off the roof when I had my first one.
Yeah, it just made him have poor balance for a few days. But he got over it. He got on some blood pressure pills, and then that helped, so he didn't get those kind of things again until he started having more blockages when he was about 70 years old. And that's when he had the second one, is when he was 70. So he got 12 years from when he had the first one, controlled his blood pressure by pills.
Then I had the stroke, and I went and had open heart surgery. And I've been having to watch and what I eat and take a lot of pills since, but I've been feeling good most of the time. I just had a bad month or so now, but I'm a little better tonight. Good enough to talk to you on television. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I was going to tell you a little bit about when I was just little. We didn't have things like this. We had a radio, but when you wanted to play it, you had to go and take the battery out of the car and hook the car battery to the radio, and then take it back out before you got it run down too much, so you could run the car. So we didn't have
That
hydro.
sounds kind of like some of the electrical situations that we got down in Mexico. No, it's not that bad, but hey, at least we got the washing machine hooked up, eh, Maria?
Well, I can
We didn't
remember.
used to
Yeah,
run
I'm
with an
gonna pause
electric
it
washer.
now. I don't want to go too much. We got
We run with a washing machine, and I had to turn
15
it
minutes.
back and forth, just swish, swish,
There it is.
swish.